Welcome to episode 76 of Crave the Book. In today's episode, Amber and I are covering chapters 150 through 154 of Tracy Wolff Covet. And in this episode, we are talking about the battle at the Unkillable Beast's Island. Super exciting. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. What's up, guys? Finally, episode 76. It is a week and a few days late, but that's okay. We've had brilliant excuses for it. Amber went to Crufts, which is a big ass dog show.
It's the world's biggest dog show.
That's what I said, a big ass dog show.
Yep.
And my husband has COVID and I am now getting sick. Though I'm testing negative, I'm sick. So it's like, where did the sick come from? Yeah. So I'm assuming that I probably also have COVID, but that's okay. Guys, thanks so much for being patient with us. We are going to be covering chapters 150 through 154 right when the action gets good in Covet. Honestly, I think that when I first read Covet, like the prison, it made me very anxious. Like I had to take little breaks. But during this battle scene in Covet, it was the one point in a book, because I was so scared, because I was so attached to the characters that were getting hurt. And I had it in my head, like, they're going to die. Like, one of these characters that I love is going to die. And I actually did, like, close the book and walk away. I vividly remember it. My husband was on the couch playing video games and I was reading, and I remember like putting the book down and setting it down and just saying to him, like, I need to take a little break for a minute. I'm going to go pee and I'm going to go get myself a cup of coffee and then I'm going to come back to this. And like, he had no idea. He's just like, okay.
There was a bit of a foreshadowing moment as well where like they land on the beach and she says, oh, I know that Macy is thinking of the last time that we were here, like Xavier was dead, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna happen to someone else.
Yeah.
No.
Like this was too easy. It felt too easy. But it's just weird how like we literally just left action where, you know, you were under the impression that the final climax of the book was gonna be the giant fight with Hudson and Grace. Like I felt like, okay, they did it. Mm-hmm. That was like,
you know, when you see certain amount of pages left in a book and then there's another battle coming and you're go, no,
right.
No, because either everything's going to be tied up in a nice little neat little ribbon or everything's getting fucked up.
Yeah. Like,
and
no.
I'm going to have to wait for the next book. And when we read Covet was out and had been out for a few months.
Yeah.
Court was months away, and I was like, no, you can't do this to us. You can't make us like leave on this like huge cliffhanger if there's a war about to start.
Oh, so, yeah. And COVID pushed it back by like 6 months or something ridiculous too. So we thought that we knew when we were going to get it. It was supposed to come out November and it didn't end up coming out until February.
Yes.
Like that was a miserable wait. But well, I have a spoiler, but the spoiler is only going to spoil something that happens.
Is about to happen.
Yeah, that happens in the next few chapters of Covet. So if for any reason you're like reading along with us, which, you know, I feel bad for you if you are, because we keep taking breaks due to sickness and dog shows. But if for any reason you haven't read like the next few chapters of Covet after 154, you might want to bounce out. I'll go ahead and give a spoiler warning before we get to that part. It'll be right at the end though. But yeah, we left off with Grace and Flint and Hudson and Calder, who was still passed out. They had just gotten out of the prison and ended up in this graveyard. And then Macy's voice just kind of appears, and it turns out that the whole gang, Macy and Jackson and Mackay and everybody's just kind of been waiting outside the prison for Grace and Hudson and Flint to get out, and which I think is funny because it's like, oh, this this, prison that nobody ever escapes from, and they're out there for like a couple days, just like, yeah, they'll get out, they'll be fine, they'll make their way out
within a few hours as well,
right?
And it's like, we've been waiting for days. And I was like, well, yeah, you've been in moderate comfort, like camping out whilst everybody else has been in prison. It's like, duh, took your time escaping, guys.
Yeah. And, Grace never even gets the chance to tell Macy, like, what they went through, like, before they got...
I don't think that they really do talk about it.
No, maybe...
I don't remember it in court either.
No.
He's like, oh, yeah, that thing that you did, you went to prison. Yeah, that was great. Like, I don't want to hear about it. Cool. Bye.
Right, that traumatic thing that probably...
Yeah, unresolved trauma. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. And like, what... Okay, so they've been out for days outside the prison. Mackay said something like they were trying to, find a way to break in. But what the hell were they doing out there? They were just hanging
Playing
out
chess.
in a graveyard?
I reckon Macy was teaching them all how to play chess, but she was obviously teaching them the wrong rules.
Yeah.
Like, really, really wrong rules. And she's like, this is how you play chess. And everybody's like, oh, okay.
It's, for those who haven't read the Katmere Academy guide, there's an adorable little sequence of chapters.
The deleted scenes.
Yeah, where Hudson is trying to play chess with Macy, and Macy's just not getting
Inventing rules.
she thinks she knows what she's doing. It's like trying to play a game with a toddler, and they're like, well, I'm going to move my piece all the way over here. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I play chess, to be honest.
Yeah. And then Calder wakes up, and everybody's like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, what I loved was that Luca picked up Flint in like a bear hug, but also picked up Calder.
And then when Calder...
Like, effortlessly. Like, just, yep, I can lift two people at the same time. No problem.
Yeah. I like that Tracy wrote in that Luca was a little... He was kind of like...
Threatened?
Yeah, he felt he was a little nervous when... Because, his boyfriend just appears holding this beautiful, unconscious girl, and Lucas is just standing there like, and then...
Yeah, and then she starts flirting with him publicly, and he's like, excuse me?
Yeah, and then... The
thing is, what did you even say? Because it said that Flint, like, whispers something in his ear that immediately makes his jaw unclench. But what would you say in that scenario that would make your boyfriend believe you?
Right. Like, she's
like,
crazy.
Definitely, don't worry, I still definitely love cock.
Yeah, right. What? It's fine. I'm still gay. It's cool.
Yeah, like what would you say that wouldn't sound like you're lying?
I would say don't. She's crazy. Like she's nuts. She's crazy.
Just give her a few minutes. She'll hit on someone else.
Right, or just roll with it. Which she kind of did. She immediately clung on to Mackay, which I thought it was cute. I thought that the whole scene with Flint going and reassuring Luca and holding his hand, and then her turning to Mackay and Mackay just being like,
It's like, help me.
Help.
Which I really love the fact that it's really confident. She's clearly beautiful. It's not like she's ugly or anything where she's making people feel uncomfortable because she's flirting with them, but they're like, I don't find you attractive, I'm sorry.
Right.
She's just making people very, very uncomfortable with their flirting because she's so confident with it.
Right. It's like, is she kidding? Is she serious? Have you...
Yeah.
I've had friends like that are just... They flirt, but it's like harmless flirting. They just do it because that's how their personality is. They're super charismatic and... I mean, my husband does it to all the old ladies when we go to a restaurant. If we've got a waitress who's an old lady, he will flatter her and she'll just giggle.
Oh, he oozes schmooze.
Yeah. He, especially because he's got a curly handlebar mustache. Mm-hmm. All these little old ladies are swooning. Is that the word? Swooning?
Swooning. She's flirting with everybody, and there's certain things that just make everybody crack up because I think they suddenly realize that there's no tension anymore because they realize just how up her own arse she is.
Yeah,
but clearly it's a protective thing, what's it?
Self-defensive type thing.
So, yeah, mechanism, whatever the saying is. They clearly clue into what she's doing. And it's really fun. It's a funny scene.
Well, that's probably, I would guarantee that if she didn't act like that in the prison, she wouldn't have gotten as far as she did. Like, I'm sure that her confidence is what kept her alive, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like that in real life too. It's why, you know, actors and politicians and shit, like anybody who's super duper popular in the public eye, they're almost always very charismatic, with the exception of Elon Musk. He's getting more confident in his speaking, but I don't know if you've ever watched an interview with him. He sounds like he's never been in front of a camera in his life.
He still looks like a frog too.
A frog. But yeah, I think that confidence in a situation like, you know, where there is a hierarchy, that's like the one thing. It doesn't matter, even if you're a dum-dum, like we all know, like in politics, that there are dum-dums that just get to the top because they're charismatic, but they're dum-dums. And she just has the benefit of, she's smart and she's confident. And I think that she kind of knows how to get everybody like on her side. She's really, really good at
plays her strengths.
Yeah. And she even does it with Macy because, you know, she's talking about her hair and stuff, and even Macy's like, "Oh my God, I love your hair." Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
But then they have to let her know that Remy didn't end up coming out, but that he does have a flower. So we have confirmed that. I don't ever remember Grace giving him a flower.
Nope.
But apparently he has one.
I'm imagining that it was at the same time that they went to go get Vanda. Vanda had a flower and it was ruined the flower because it didn't work. But I think she had 3 in her palm of her hand.
Okay.
And that was when Calder went, "Oh, I'll do one to prove it." And I think that was when Remy went, "No more," and dragged them away.
Yeah.
Because he knew that he would have to have that last flower because there was no other way of getting any more.
Right, because Vander could have taken the other one and been like, "Okay, I'll just take 2.
Yeah. So I think that he must have taken it then and put it in his pocket or something.
Yeah.
Nice safe place, right? They can't put it on his keys or anything.
She was less upset though than I thought she would be. Like, I think it's because she has that confidence, but she doesn't want to leave that area, and Grace doesn't want her to leave that area. Though I will say, I think that Calder would have been an amazing addition to the battle because
I was about to say that.
Nobody would expect her.
No.
She's not
And we would have got a glimpse of what a manticore can actually do.
Yeah.
We'd actually know what that does. Yeah. What is it?
Yeah, she could have turned and been like, you know,
lion-y.
Yeah, she could have like astounded this army who's used to seeing vampires, witches, dragons, and werewolves, and now, you know, a gargoyle. But she could have been like the turning point for this battle just based on her ability to like distract them, because they have wings, right? They're lions with wings.
Yep.
And a tail, like a spiky tail.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, Grace somehow thinks that the most expensive hotel in the world is just around the corner.
I know, like they say you should stay around the...
Where? She's in the middle of a graveyard in a forest. Like, where is she going to find a hotel? Like, the best scenario is she finds a hostel.
I mean...
Of, like, camp.
Wait, what?
She's not going to turn around and go like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that I can't think of any posh hotel names now. The Ritz. Oh my God, can't believe I stumbled upon it."
It's New Orleans. I mean, it's like you walk out of the swamp and there's a casino. You never know.
Yeah. So she, like, Grace walks around and like finds Jackson and goes, "Hey, have you got any cash on you?" She's like, "It's testament to our relationship that he just pulls out $500.
Is this enough?"
I was like, "What?" I was like, "I've never ever had $500 cash on me ever for no reason." And then he's like, "Will this be enough?" And she's like, "You know what? I don't know."
Who else has money?
And yeah, and so everybody else in the order's like, "Oh, I'll chip in. I'll give you what I've got in my wallet." And somehow she manages to walk away with a $1,200.
I mean,
what were they doing? This is at the end of a week of camping.
Yeah, why did they? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they.
Maybe they were going to the casinos.
Oh yeah, that's how they all.
I want that deleted scene.
They all started out with like $5, but they made out like bandits because. They were able to use some of their power. No, they wouldn't even have any powers that they could use. Jackson can't make anything float effectively.
He could make the roulette table like tremble.
Yeah, okay. And
make the dice go further. And then Mackay has like emotion-y things. Did we make that up? I feel like we made that up.
No, I think he can, and I don't think that we get a lot of it until I think that we see it in court. I think. Okay.
So like he could do some witchy woo-woos. Like Macy can definitely do stuff.
Yeah.
Eden.
She can make things hot.
She could just set fire to certain cards in the deck,
Oh,
like, oh no.
She can freeze the slot machines right where she wants them to stop.
Every single time.
Every time.
Yep. How did we get into this discussion? How to gamble as a supernatural being.
I love it. That would be a fun like novella.
Yeah.
And that should be the title. How to gamble as a supernatural being.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I would read it.
I would read it too.
Yeah. And by the way, Vanda has disappeared into a tree.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah. So they're like, oh yeah, we've got the key. We're all good, and let's go. And then all of a sudden, the rest of the order come running through the trees and was like, we need to go. And Macy's like, okay, portal time. And I'm like, all of a sudden, Macy's like, I'm confident with portals.
We're not gonna be blown into a million pieces of light.
Yeah.
But she's already...
I'm sad that Grace doesn't try a tree.
Well, she's already opened the portal, like, at the Unkillable Beast Island. I mean, it just exists now. So that would be such a useful skill.
Yeah. Especially to gamble.
Yeah, you could have one at the casino.
You could just pop your head through and then look at what the deck is and go, okay, lose in hand.
Yeah, and then just, bounce out and go to the Unkillable Beasts Island and hang out on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
It would be perfect.
Yep.
So this part made me really, really mad, though. When Jackson does appear, I forgot to put a note, but he's all, like, sallow and his cheeks are all sunken. Yeah, I'm imagining,
He's Bella when she's pregnant.
Yeah. I'm imagining, like, Dark Shadows, Johnny Depp.
The spine going...
Yeah. He's...
Yummy.
He's not top notch right now. And, of course, Grace is like, oh, no. If there was any other way. But I have to break the mating... Like, oh, my God. You already decided not to, and now you have decided to do it again because you've seen him looking haggardly.
Mm-hmm. Haggardly?
Haggardly, yeah. He's got he's gotten bigger, he's got crazy hair.
Big bushy beard.
And a big bushy beard.
Yeah. And then she goes through the portal, and then she has a moment with Hudson, and then literally retracts everything she's just said to Jackson.
I know. She's like,
I should choose you.
I would choose you. You said that you'd never make me choose because I'd never choose you, but I would choose you. But I won't. But I would.
But I would.
Like, God, Grace, you are she is mind games. This girl is nothing but mind games. I feel so bad for Hudson.
And then so they are kind of arrive and they realize that they don't really have any strategy. Typical fucking children don't know what they're doing. And they somehow go, oh wait, actually it would be better off if we weren't here because we have the key. So if we're here and Cyrus kills us and gets the key, then we've essentially given the key to him.
Well, that's after the witches appear.
They're about to leave, and then they immediately go, oh, no, wait, we have to fight.
Well, yeah, well, the witches appeared and they had started fighting, and that's when Grace was like, okay, we should just leave. And right as they're about to leave,
and not tell anybody, by the way, they were just gonna book it.
They were gonna leave
on their own.
I think they were gonna try to get everybody together, but everybody was scattered.
No, I'd like to think that they were just eloping.
Yeah,
like, I've got the key. Bye.
But then Grace saw Flint, and that's when things got bad. But as I don't understand this scene, so as Grace has kind of decided like we should just leave, like Cyrus can't get the key if we're not here, like they'll just be here fighting with nobody, so let's just leave, let's go before the dragons show up. And Hudson ends up like fighting. She specifies that it's a maid vampire, which I want to know, like, how do you tell at a glance which ones are maid vampires? That was my first question. But then
they're wearing Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah, they're not in Gucci and Armani.
They're poor people who have been just kind of stolen in the dead of night.
Yeah, they're
not to say that Abercrombie is poor people clothes, because not at all.
No,
Jesus Christ.
They shop at the Gap. They wear like those T-shirts in the 90s from you guys have Gap, right?
Yeah.
You don't have Gap?
We do. I said yeah.
Oh, I thought you said no. No, those embroidered
Gap.
Embroidered T-shirts from the 90s where it just said Gap on it, but every letter was embroidered in like a different color.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote that particular Gap shirt into my book, The Channel, because I just remember like everybody wearing those ugly shirts. Yep. But yeah, that's what I'm picturing. All of the maid vampires are in Gap shirts with little embroidered Gap letters on the front.
It's beautiful. Target shoes.
And Target shoes. Yep. Yep.
The little Velcro straps, because I can't do shoelaces yet.
No, they don't know how.
Yeah.
But Hudson kills this vampire. He just like snaps its neck. And then he pulls out its fang and throws it. Why? Why did you yeet the fang?
Because he says that it's that's one way to kill a vampire.
Oh, does he?
Is to remove its fang. Yeah, he says that a few chapters ago. He definitely says it.
That doesn't.
He says that like that's the way to kill a vampire is to snap their teeth or snap a fang or something. I don't remember what it was in reference to, but he definitely said that, and I'm imagining that breaking a neck doesn't really do anything for a vampire, because
I just imagine the floppy head, like the neck is broken, but the floppy head is still.
At least it's not like Twilight, where like he snaps the neck and then everything turns to marble and just falls apart.
They just shatter. And
then they go, we shall burn this pile of rubble.
I had a much better vision of how that looked before the movies came out. Like
me too.
Like in my brain, like because they talked about like ripping sounds, especially like when the Cullen clan like rips up James. Like Bella, for the most part, you don't see any of that part because it's just Bella, her perspective, and she's basically unconscious in pain, but she says she hears like ripping. So I imagine like
he's like an upholstery dummy.
Yeah, kind of. That's kind of how I don't know. I am very nervous about the series being made into movies because I feel like, there's just so much that they could make very cringy very fast.
I think that's what like any book can turn into, that though, is because we have our own ideas about what it is, and then it could be so easily interpreted as something else. Yeah. As long as they use Tracy to direct the film and like actually ask what she imagined that
sometimes
part to be,
they do.
Maybe they'll be fine.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't though. That's
like what... Harry Potter did really well. Like I don't think there was any parts of Harry Potter I'm like, oh, that didn't look like what I was expecting it to look like.
Yeah, like they left it's okay to leave like some parts out, like I understand, but like doing things completely wrong is what kills me. Like Twilight,
the whole last book.
Catherine Hardwicke. Well, no, you know what? I'm okay because they made it more. I mean, here's the thing. What really happened was there was supposed to be an epic battle and nothing actually happened. So they're like, you know what? Let's throw in the battle, and and then
because people want a battle.
Yeah, like people won a battle in the last movie, so that I'm fine with it. But the first movie versus the first book, they're not even remotely the same. Like things that all the work that went into Edward climbing a tree with Bella on his back, like the gear that they had to put on Robbie Pat to get him up that tree, like none of that shit happened. The spider monkey did not happen. They did not climb a tree together. Like the scene that actually happened was Edward and Bella were sitting on his little seatee in his bedless bedroom, and Bella provoked him, and he went, "Oh, you really shouldn't have said that." And then he lunged on her like super sexy style. And then freaking Alice and Jasper came in because they were like, "Oh, we thought you were having dinner. Ha ha ha." Like it was kind of a sexy scene. But no, you know what? You know what's sexier? Is vampires running up a tree.
Spider Monkey was the worst scene ever.
Awful. But
yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
I also really hope that they don't delete a character. You know how like Peeves was just not there.
Wait, who?
In Harry Potter. Peeves.
He was for like a quarter of a second coming out of the floor laughing. Ah!
Yeah. Do you know who that guy is? Rick Mail.
No.
Rick Mail, he auditioned and did all the filming for this movie because his niece or his daughter told him he had to do it. You have to be in Harry Potter. It's amazing. I've been there for every book signing. We have to do it. Please, please, please. So he did all the filming. He's never read a Harry Potter book and didn't give a shit. And then all of his parts got pulled.
Oh.
And he's now dead.
That's sad.
So I thought that they would at least, for like the anniversary episode that they did for the special, I thought they might have at least gone like, because they did all of the special memorials to all of the characters and the people that have died, the actors that have died since the making of the movies. I thought that they would at least go, well, here's some deleted scenes. Like, there's no way that footage is just gone.
Yeah, it's got to exist somewhere, but no.
But they didn't. And yeah, there was an interview of him where he was just like, yeah, I don't even know where that happened. Like, I don't remember my lines. I don't know what I did in the scenes. I have no idea. I don't even know who Peeves is.
He made a weird face and came out of the floor, and that was it.
Yeah,
that was the whole.
So funny. But yeah, I'm hoping that like no one really important to the story, which isn't apparent in Crave, like the first book. If they read like director and they just color character because they're like, oh, that's not important, but then they were really important when it comes to charm or cherish or court, and then they go, oh, we'll just have to rewrite kind of a plot hole.
Yeah, they need
to kind of avoid it.
It's just such a stupid thing that like directors should have to read the entire series before they commit to making a movie or a TV show.
Maybe we can just hope that somebody in the Crave universe is a film director and volunteers. It's like, I know this inside out. I got this.
and I'm telling you, Brendan Fraser, man, he's on a roll. He's a catch.
Yep.
He's a catch, guys, for Uncle Finn. Keep
just not in the fat suit.
No, he's lost a lot of weight too, just from when he started back into acting and now, like you can tell he's starting to, not that he couldn't have nailed any of his roles, still, it's not, he wasn't even like that big. Like he didn't get that big just compared to when you see him in like George of the Jungle, but you can tell that like he's getting his confidence back. Like he's got his spark back. You can see it in his eyes. You can see that he's like really enthusiastic about acting again. And I think that that's really special. And I swear to God, he would make the best Uncle Finn, and I will die on that hill. So keep bugging Universal, guys. Post on their Twitter, bug them on Facebook, message them. Crave series, Brendan Fraser for Uncle Finn. It's the guaranteed way to make sure that the series succeeds, because he's so loved. Yeah, he's so loved. Like it would be a guaranteed success. Just do it.
Do it.
So Flint's his leg done got blowed off.
It did.
Very gorily, and
it's very graphic.
I was so convinced that he was going to die. And because Flint's leg got blown off, Grace spends the entire battle, like we really don't get any of the battle. other than what is happening in Grace's immediate bubble, because everybody is having to kind of protect her and then running and like refueling her so that she can siphon energy from them and work to heal Flint. But she focuses 100% of her energy into trying to heal Flint's leg, which, you know, I think is especially funny because she's just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep. And she starts like talking as if she's like a surgeon. She's like, I'm gonna find the artery. I'm guessing the artery is the squishy thing.
The thing that's spurting blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hudson is, he's already drained because he had the giant battle. He's still beat up from doing his fighting in the pit to win money. And then they immediately did the giant battle. And then they immediately came here. Like, he is worn down. So everybody's kind of coming and giving a little bit of energy. And then Grace is like, wait, I have earth magic. And the earth was just like, nah.
What's really sad though is that they had a solution right in front of them, and I don't know whether the mechanics would work, but they had a solution right in front of them. Why didn't a vampire just bite him?
Like, what would be the expected outcome of that if he's...
Well, number one, anesthesia. I mean, I don't remember Grace ever complaining when either of the boys bit her.
No.
So that could definitely be like a pleasure or pain kind of thing.
Yeah.
You could definitely go. And B, I thought that any time Jackson like licked her wounds, that fixed it as well.
But
saliva. And also, if you bite with intention, it can turn him into a vampire. I've never ever heard Flint exclaim any displeasure at the idea of being a vampire. So, I mean, especially if it saved his life.
Hurry, everybody come spit in his leg.
Just spit in his mouth.
I don't think that's... Well, the thing is, like, if it was a little wound, I would understand it, but I don't think that they can lick a flayed open to the bone leg.
I think they should have at least tried.
Yeah, they could have tried. I think at this point...
Just get some proper glob on. Just...
I think at this point, Jackson would have been willing to, like, do anything to...
Yeah.
Because he sees
I just
Flint.
think, they never really looked at the real, like, simple solutions. Like, it's always, magic will fix this. But if you were also a human, how would you fix somebody whose leg was bleeding out? Like, she didn't tourniquet. She didn't do any first aid when she has relied on first aid every goddamn fucking cut and scrape on a goddamn vampire since the beginning of goddamn time. And right here, right now, is an actual case where she might need a first aid kit and a goddamn plaster, and she's not using it.
She forgot her Band-Aids.
But she, like, that's like normal first aid is you put pressure on the wound, and she's just letting it spat out, and she's like, hang on a minute, let me search in my mind's eye for how to fix this. And it's like,
yeah.
Do you know why Flint almost died? Gross negligence. That's why.
And then
it's her fault.
Poor Luca comes and, like, sees that Flint is down, and he's like, take all my energy, take anything you need, just fix him. And Grace, like, starts siphoning his energy, and she's like, he is not nearly as powerful as Jackson and Hudson, but, like, I'll try.
He's a vol-au-vent at a party.
Yeah, and then he immediately, like, turns to, like, get back in the fight, and he gets just deaded immediately, just boom. Which, unfortunately, that was ruined for me because somebody posted, oh, Luca, and, like, a bunch of crying emojis on Instagram while I was reading Covet, and that's how
that's mean.
That got ruined for me immediately. So I knew that Luca was going to die, which really sucks. But yeah, so Luca gets killed.
And Grace is the only one that's noticed that he's dead.
I know.
As well.
Macy comes and helps and creates a barrier around her and Flint and Grace. And then I love the part where it says, Grace says, Hudson basically squeaks in before the barrier closes. And I'm like, no. Hudson scooches in. Nobody
squeaks.
You don't squeak in, you scooch in. Let me scooch right past you there. He scooches in before the barrier closes.
Like I'm imagining it as like, you know, when you've like gone on like the underground or like the metro. What do you call those guys? Subway. You call them subways. Like, and the doors are closing, and you're just like dipping in.
You scooch in. Yeah.
That's what I'm imagining it to do. But I can't ever remember a barrier that Macy has made being opaque.
Yeah.
So how does she know he made it?
I'm imagining him like sideways, like it's closing like a bubble, and he like the bubble around Hogwarts. That kind of barrier, and he just kind of like scooches sideways through.
Yeah. With dignity, obviously.
Yeah, you don't squeak with dignity. You scooch. Squeaking is let me squeak in.
Yeah.
No, he scooches because he's a dignified gentleman.
Yep.
And then they notice that Xavier. Then they notice that Luke is dead. They're just like, oh shit.
Yeah. And it's almost like they're like, Jackson comes over and he's giving everything. Like, they're reaching that moment of just, we're going to need the nuclear option here. Like, there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And Hudson he just starts apologizing. And like looking at Grace. Like, and she's like, oh, he's asking for permission to go nuclear. And then she went, no, wait. He's asking for forgiveness because he knows that there is no other solution. He has to go out and poof everything. And that's when she decides, I should choose you. Like that we're gonna find another way. Meanwhile, Jackson's fucking dying next to her. It's like the private moment where you could have had like actually like say like even if we have to say goodbye to Jackson. I choose you, you're mine, like, I don't want anybody else, I want to find another way around this Jackson situation. Jackson's dying, and she's like, it's okay, I've still got Hudson.
Well, the thing is, her thought is that, like, once we get the crown, like, we'll figure, I'm sure that the crown can fix Jackson. So it all really falls on Hudson's shoulders to be able to effectively poof everyone so that they can get to the Unkillable Beast. And then assuming that the Unkillable Beast even has the crown or can tell them how to get it. Like that, it is all like a big if situation. So at least the one thing that Grace can be certain of in this moment is that she has Hudson. Like, and I think that that's, you know, special. And that's why my note, I was just like, that's my kink. Like, the whole next scene, because we stopped right as Hudson, like, he like cracks his knuckles and like, you know, does that neck crack.
Rolls his shoulder.
Yeah, rolls his shoulder.
I'd like to think that he like puts his sleeves up, you know.
Like, all right, let's
rolls
do
his sleeves up. Oof.
Yeah, that's this scene. There are a couple scenes in books that have just, this scene did it for me when he, you know, finally like goes out and just starts like bam, bam, bam. That scene did it for me. Same with when he is walking out of the Coliseum in Crush, holding Grace and ignoring Jackson as Jackson is being whiny, like jumping around him. And he brings down the Coliseum. Like that, those Big Brother vibes, like that one got me. And in Court of Thorns and Roses series, the scene when Cassian and Azriel come and save Feyre on the ice from the Autumn Court.
Yeah.
When she finally breaks away with Lucian from the Spring Court. That scene, like, for those who haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses, I will not spoil anything else from that scene, but when you read it, you'll be like,
vibes.
that's what Starla was talking about. Like, that's
Big Daddy vibes.
Big Daddy vibes. All those Big Daddy vibes.
Not paint scene.
Yeah.
Not paint scene at all. That is not my kink.
No, too messy. So I have one spoiler, but before I get into that,
I have come up with one, and I don't know whether we've also mentioned it before, so maybe it's not too much of a spoiler.
Is it a spoiler for what book is it a spoiler for?
Oh, like doozy, like all the way.
Okay, so my spoiler is just for Covet, and then yours is a doozy spoiler. But before we get into that, I did want to let both you know and our listeners know, because I know quite a few of them are fans, that there has been another confirmed TV series, book to TV series. From Blood and Ash is going to have an Amazon series, which is amazing because Amazon does a phenomenal job. So Amber, you're going to definitely have to read From them. Blood and Ash before we get too much news on it.
Okay.
It's good. Not as good as A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it scratches the same itch.
Okay.
I'm in the fourth book, and it's kind of dragging, but and the first book wasn't that great either. But I look fondly back on it now that I'm farther in the series. You know, it's one of those where, like, as you're reading it, it's not great, just like A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like, the first one, not my favorite, but, like, you look fondly back on it because you know how essential it was.
It was setting it up.
Yeah. So, highly recommend for anybody who hasn't read those yet, if you enjoy kind of like this general vibe of stories. They are good. They are spicy. There are quite a few spicy scenes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Clutching my pearls.
No, spicy. All right, so let's get into spoilers. Mine is just a Covet spoiler, so if you haven't read like the next few chapters of Covet, feel free to bounce out, and then we'll give you an additional warning before Amber's end-all spoiler, where you need to be caught up with all the books. I'm assuming including Court and Charm. For yours? Charm. Okay. All right. So for mine, Grace, when she first, when Luca first gets blasted, she says, I scramble back to Flint's body, wishing I had something to cover Luca with out of respect. I'm so mad because when Flint wakes up in the next few chapters and he notices that Luca is dead, like he goes like blank, like it really devastates him, obviously. Flint can make freaking flowers. Like, that's one of his powers that we get in Crave, and we never see it again. I swear to God, I felt like Tracy set herself up by saying, wishing I had something to cover Luca with out of respect. Flint could have had, like, those Viking blankets of flowers that they would, like, lay over the bodies? They would, like, hand weave?
Yeah.
I'm just imagining, like, the movie scene with the flowers, like, all kind of, like, creeping up, like, in a big vine, like, in a big blanket, and growing over Luca, and everybody, like, sharing, like, that sad moment together, and it showing, like, Flint's way of, like, showing his respect for his dead partner. Like, I really, really hope that, because it's easy as an author, I'm sure that it's easy for, Tracy to not, especially when she's probably torn up about killing a character, it can be hard to miss little details like that. But I'm hoping that when a director comes in and is kind of like fine-tuning the story, that a director says, hey, this is an obvious thing that could happen. Like, this feels like the missing puzzle piece. Because, like, the thought of seeing that, everybody on the beach, by that time the dragons are all there, Nuri's there, seeing her son, devastated that his boyfriend has been killed. I just think that it would be a really, really special moment. Like, everyone raising their wands for Dumbledore. Like, it would be just super special. So, yeah. Aww. Okay, so Amber's is the end-all spoiler. So if you haven't read Court and Charm, leave now. Get out. Okay.
So we know during Court that Hudson mentions that when he poofs things, he takes their souls. Right?
Yes, that's what makes it so.
That's what
his punishment.
That's what he gets all like self. self-righteous about, and then he's like, I don't want to do it because it takes their souls. It's like, well, what happens when he takes their souls? Like, I feel like he definitely releases them at some point, because you can't just hold on to them forever.
Maybe it's like, maybe that's part of the torture, is that, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Helsing, the anime.
But I'm just thinking that maybe he sends them somewhere, like he's the anchor, so he poofs them, and then they have to go through him, and he has to channel them to somewhere else. So he feels them passing through.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I'm like, what happens to them? And I'm like, the best place for them to be would be the Shadow Realm.
Okay, so maybe he would have to face everybody that he's killed before?
Yeah, like he's ever poofed before.
Okay, that's an interesting idea.
Because the way he says that he poofs, because he's poofed himself before as well, and he just says he disappears for a few times, and he's so comfortable in the Shadow Realm that it makes me think that there's something about it that makes him feel like normal and at home.
His lair is that he has a copy, like a carbon copy of his lair there.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering whether that is where he goes.
Oh.
When he poofs himself. He just doesn't really remember it.
That's a good theory.
And the Queen has all of these creepy, like, shadows, which are very much like souls that are dark and twisty.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you remember, Smokey really, really liked him.
Instant attachment to him.
Yep. And I'm wondering whether it's because she knows that he can channel them and he, like, energizes them or something.
That would be a really, really awesome explanation. And it would also be like he has to face everybody that he's ever killed. That would, yeah. Okay.
Especially if his dad did get a puppy and he made him poof a puppy. And that's what Smokey is.
I'm so certain that for anybody who doesn't remember, in Crush, Hudson, when he gives Grace that vision of when Jackson is taken from him while they're like little tiny children, and then Cyrus makes Hudson like poof everything in the room out of rage. He's like, good job. Tomorrow I'll get you a puppy. And then you never hear anything about the puppy again. And it sounds like a psychological torture thing where Cyrus likely,
made him poof the puppy.
Yeah.
And if my theory is correct, then what if that's Smokey?
Smokey acts more like a cat, though.
It does, but at the same time, we don't know that he got a puppy. Maybe he's like, no, I'd rather a cat.
Right. Oh. I wonder what would happen if they tried to bring Smokey back to...
I don't know, but if my theory is correct, then maybe it works backwards.
You can materialize people. You can unpoof them.
Well, like, Smokey doesn't do particularly badly as a spirity kind of smoky thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that would work still in normal land. But it just made me think that they're going to be fighting all of the Shadow Queen's, like, shadows, and they must have come from somewhere. And I'm just kind of wondering whether they're all the souls that he has sent there.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about, like, we got that bonus chapter in I think it was the Shadow Realm bonus edition of Charm, where the Shadow Queen, like, it talks about, like, how she came to be. I wonder if we're supposed to feel anything for her. It's weird to get a backstory for a character that you're not going to hear anything else about. Just like
I absolutely love reading the enemy storylines, though, because those are the ones where you kind of go, yeah, I can see why she became that.
Yeah.
Like Maleficent, I'm like, I can absolutely see why you turned into a raging bitch.
Yeah. Like, there's always...
And I feel for you more.
You always get the characters where, they just turn bad for no reason. They've always been a bad egg. But then there are some that are just justified. Like, you're like, you know what? They didn't make the best choices, but I understand why they did it. Mm-hmm. I can see that. Those are the ones that are hard. Those are the bad guys that you don't want to hate because you just kind of, there's a part of you that feels bad for them.
Yeah.
It's like Harry telling Voldemort, like, that he pities him. It's like, you know, I think that's the biggest insult to like a bad guy. Like, I actually feel bad for you.
Yep.
No one, nobody's ever loved you. I feel bad. I feel bad for you. Don't feel bad for me. I am evil. But I do wish that people would appreciate me sometimes.
Appreciate me.
Appreciate me.
You should go back to bed.
I know. I gotta do a freaking live stream for my job in like an hour.
Ugh.
I know. Jobs. It's not a job. I manage it.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, bro. It's what happens when you are a manager at the world's largest Etsy SEO company.
I love that you had to finish it because you're like, this sounds really cool, and now it doesn't sound cool. At the world's largest SEO company for Etsy.
You know what? If all I gotta do is hang out and do live streams and teach people stuff, then it's worth it, right? But guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Sorry that this episode was a little late. It should be airing on Friday. Today's Thursday. That Amber and I are recording. But I think that next week we should be on track to... I'm good.
Be normal.
Yeah, I'm not... I mean, unless I get, like, worse sick, I get the bigger sick.
The bigger sick,
then I should be good. If for any reason, guys, episodes don't post on Thursday, just be aware that something's happened. We've gotten sick. We're only human, or, something's come up on our schedule. But I believe that next week we should be on track to have our usual Thursday episode. Other than that, thanks so much for hanging out. I think that next week will probably be right at the end of Covet, or close to. We might be able to finish it. And might be too long to finish. Maybe 2 more episodes.
I think 2.
Yeah, 2 more.
1.5.
Yeah. All right.
So we could maybe do like an overview of the whole book.
Bonus chapters.
Oh, yeah.
You got bonus chapters.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.